Welcome back to the Crypto Power Hour, the number one crypto show on Rumble, of course, powered by Solum Global, with your host, George Ballantyne, and myself, Lance Miliaccio. We are the Crypto Bros. And what's this show all about? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's the ultimate deep dive into everything crypto, blockchain, and decentralized finance. And we don't care whether you're a seasoned investor or a newbie just stepping into the world of digital assets for the very first time. We're going to bring you expert insights, top interviews, exciting new projects, breaking news, and game-changing innovation shaping the future of digital assets. Because on this show, in crypto, we trust. George B., what are you up to, man? You're looking down. I'm trying to figure out what you're up to. What are you doing there, bro?
So if I'm looking down, left, right, up, down, whatever, it's tech stuff, bro. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't want you texting. We got to keep you off the text when we start these shows up.
Bro, I can type it on from my computer without looking.
Oh, okay. All right. Just checking, man. I got to keep an eye on you. I got to keep tabs. All right. Well, what's up, brother? How are you, man? It's Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Rise and grind, rise and shine.
Yep. This is our first crypto show of the new year. I hope everybody had a happy, healthy, and safe new year. Let's try to kick this off right. I think this is going to be the year of crypto right now. That's my prediction. I'm doing it right now. First week in January. This is going to be the year of crypto.
Everybody.
Mark my words.
We told everybody to buy this dip. We've been buying the dip. We told you all, buy the dip, buy the dip. Hopefully you guys listened because XRP, I think, went down to $1.80 and some odd change. It's already back to 237 this morning. So I'm just going to tell you, you got to pay attention to those dips, especially on the primary chains, the altcoins that are going to be part of this new blockchain world that we're heading into. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. All right, listen, let's kick it off. We love our crypto. We also love our gold, and we also love our sponsors. I'm talking about those guys over at Genesis Gold Group. Hopefully, you listened to us 2 years ago when we started talking about gold and silver. It's no different than crypto. None of this is financial advice. Let me say that. We're not financial experts. We're just a couple of guys that do a lot of research. So, silver. This is the 62.2 gram prepper bar. Perforated, as you can see, where you can break off a small piece to make a payment, of course, easily broken down to your choice of 3 separate denominations. You can kind of see it when I tilt the bar there. Of course, I don't care whether this is for asset protection for inflation, diversification, economic turmoil. Of course, the prepper bar's very unique utility for barter trade. Makes a perfect gift. I don't care who you are. Hopefully you gave some out at Christmas. You can give them out for birthdays, Hanukkah, 4th of July. I don't care. Nobody doesn't like gold and silver at these prices. And again, they've got them in stock. They just got a restock of silver in. Like I told you, they ran out through the end of the year. Now they're restocked in the silver. Of course, silver's going crazy. Lots of upside still available in the silver market. That's my personal opinion. Head over to the bigmigbar.com, or you can use that QR code. Take a snapshot, go there after the show. That is the bigmigbar.com. Use all caps prepper, PREPPR, PREPPR. That'll get you 10% off on the silver, 5% off on the gold. Thebigmigbar.com. Don't wait. Don't delay. Get a few. Stick them in that sock drawer while you can. Thebigmigbar.com.
Break me off a piece of that prepper bar.
Was that a little kind of ad lib there, did you?
A little refreshment,
All right.
So just so you know, like silver, pretty much doubled from 3 months ago. Yes, sir.
Hopefully you guys bought some. Hope you said those big mig guys seem to be in the know. Again, I just think it's incredibly undervalued. There's going to be a shortage. There's lots of industries that need tons of silver, and AI is one of them. And quantum computing is one of them. You need a lot of silver to run those computer systems that are doing all this cool stuff you're seeing all over social media. You need serious computing power. And with that, silver and gold are being used in those computers. And the bigger these systems are, the more that gets used. So it's nice to see those tricky videos, but also think about what pushes those tricky videos, what makes it possible to do those little Trump babies, techno Maduro, you name it. They're all in the game. Now, George and I, we came up with a model here where we do these education pieces. So if you want to get educated in crypto, the best thing you could do is hit that follow button right now in the Crypto Power Hour. Watch all our episodes that have education pieces, because George puts a lot of work into these. And I think they're really important because we kind of take you through the ground rules, new projects, important projects, altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it. We're talking about it on this show. So today we're going to talk about the privacy revolution in crypto. What's that mean? Well, we're going to be talking about projects like ZK, FHE, and MPC, and we'll tell you more about those in a minute. And why privacy is the key to mass adoption, because people still don't want their finances out there in the public. Of course, the blockchain privacy is one of those things that was nice to have, but now it's not really, and it's essential for real world use. Of course, those traditional blockchains like Ethereum that we've talked about many times, they show every single transaction publicly. They're going to expose your balances, all your trades, your strategies to anyone. And I hate to say it, including all those hackers out there, competitors or regulators. And it's basically, in my opinion, a transparent fishbowl. And that is partial, in my opinion, partial of the problem with why adoption is still limited, right? So a lot of institutions and everyday users who want and need confidentiality, right? They're looking for privacy enhancing technologies, which in the crypto world, that's called a PET, just so you know. They want zero knowledge proofs. Those are the ZKs. Full homomorphic encryption, right? That's FHE. And multi-party computation, which is MPC. And they're all changing that. They're making it so now they're going to enable programmable privacy. You're going to be able to control what stays hidden, while you're proving everything is valid. And a lot of leading projects, right, like Zama, RQM, I guess Arcium, I guess it's ARCIUM, just, that's an MPC network, of course, and Aztec, which is the ZK-based private Ethereum network. It's an L2, layer 2. And of course, they're all making it very practical. So this is real world stuff. It really matters because I believe this is going to increase adoptability. And I think George is right. I think he's over the target. I think he's right on top. And if you see here, you can see how this works, right? You talk about your shared records and your storage, your hash values, your decryption, your blockchain, and you can get all this data. And of course, the idea would be to figure out a way to cipher this so not everybody has access. So privacy is going to fix, I think, one of the blockchain's biggest flaws, which is those public ledgers exposing data. And they're going to hide it, without losing trust or auditability. So, George, let's talk about these ZK proofs. I want to add more to that.
You want to talk about the EK proofs?
ZK proofs. So they prove something's true. I'll just jump in there.
Go ahead.
I have enough funds without revealing any of the details. And those are really matter for private transactions. And then the FHEs, like I mentioned earlier, those help you compute on encrypted data. So they can calculate loan interest privately. And they power the confidential DeFi like Zama's mainnet, which right now is 1,000 TPs in 2026, and they're scaling rapidly. And this is big stuff because, of course, when you start talking about these multiple parties compute together on private inputs, the MPCs, you're going to want to be able to trade without sharing secrets. Right now, you see it. People put out your trading strategies. They're tracking whale wallets. And I think when you take real world applications, and you look at everything that's going on, people don't want all that information. They don't want they want private payroll. They want to hide their salaries. And when all that stuff goes onto the blockchain, it would be out in the open, right? They want confidential stable coins. And of course, Zama's CUSDT is a confidential coin. They want dark pools. They want to be able to hide their trades. And they want compliant lending. They want to be able to prove their credit without exposing their history. And I think all that in 2026, all these hybrids are going to dominate. I think all these networks are going to dominate in the privacy protocols. And I think because it's going to balance risk, there's going to be a lot of stuff that has to do with compliance and selective disclosures. So let's take them through, George. I think let's give them a step by step. And let's start with the basics and take them to the advanced.
Okay, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Let's get into it right here. I'm going to put up a chart and then I'm going to start talking. This way the chart's there for you guys. So, we always try to simplify things for everybody, especially for the new people, the newbies, and we're going to try to build a newbie-friendly, I'm going to give you analogies. I'm having trouble like Lance today, to expert-level mechanics. And this is all going to happen with real-world crypto DeFi examples throughout. We're going to do this for you guys. Now, Lance is just talking about the privacy problem in blockchain. And it's PETs. Why do we need them? I don't know if we need them. That's everybody's opinion. However, though, coming from a novice view, somebody that's just coming into this into the scene of crypto. Imagine, I don't know, posting your bank statement online. Everyone sees your salary, your spending, and savings. But you know, that's pretty much most of blockchains today. But I'm going to clarify something here, because when you see stuff transactions, there's no name to it. So there is privacy. I don't know why they're trying to like separate this and do it. You can look. There could be a wallet up there, but you don't know whose wallet that is. Like Lance, you were just talking about like crypto whale wallets. Okay, but what crypto whale is it? You don't know. So there's still the privacy there. You don't know whoever it is getting paid this much or making that much.
I think when it comes to privacy enhancing technologies, I think that what they're talking about is, let's say, for example, that you had to put up your bank statements as part of a transaction. Let's say those bank statements were on the chain, where they were now real world assets that were listed. I think they're concerned about that because, of course, we're talking about lending. We're talking about the banking world as it exists now and how we're going to incorporate this transparency to prove up the money, but at the same time, not put out your personal data.
So they're going to either, the banks are going to be done and gone with, or they're just going to incorporate more crypto into the banking system. However, but they're going to have to make it where your banking statement's not going to have your personal information. It's just going to have some kind of identifying number to you, whether it be your wallet or whatever it is. However they're going to structure this, that's what it'd be. So once again, that's just my opinion. This is how you make the privacy where you don't know who the person is. But so, I mean, if you look at it from, like, let's say the expert's view, transparency enables MEV, which is bots front running trades, surveillance, regulatory hurdles. Now, institutions avoid DeFi because data leaks violate privacy laws. I like DeFi. I like decentralization. Get rid of all the government and all the big control. I want it. We want it back. Now I'm going to give you an example. This just happened. Look at it. We're saying last year because it's 2026. It's funny though. In 2025, front running cost DeFi users billions. Privacy tech reduces this by hiding order details. Now, Lance, you know, you want all the transactions on the blockchain. You want them there to be verifiable. But if not, they're going to start blocking them. And then how do you know it's verifiable or not? But they're saying here's a solution, PETs, which allow verifiable actions without exposure. So they're saying privacy TVL, which is surged in late 2025. Now, what are we going to expect more in 2026 with regulatory clarity? Possible. We're still waiting for some crypto infrastructure bills to be passed, sitting there in the Senate. And I mean, the more they sit on it, the more it just makes everything hold back. So I wish they'd get their butts in gear and get shit done. I don't know. We'll find out sooner or later. They're going to have to do something over there in Congress. But you talked about what? Zero knowledge proofs. ZK. Hold on, Lance. I'm going to switch so you don't have to look. This is prove without revealing. So, once again, I'll do it from a new person's standpoint, right? The Alibaba Cave. This is classic now. We all know who Alibaba is, right? They prove you know the secret password to open the door without saying it out loud. Or
Shazam.
Or prove you're over 21 without showing your full ID. Just age verification. How does that work? I'm glad you guys asked. You're the one that's going to provide it. You're the prover, right? You create a mathematical proof locally. Sounds complicated, huh? Well, it can be. For people that are not like just coming into crypto to learning it, it just sounds like all these seed phrases I got to remember. Now I got to create mathematical proofing. Oh my God. What else is next? Then you got to submit proof to blockchain. Now verifiers check it instantly without seeing your data. Transaction, it validates, network updates securely. Now, if you have expert mechanics, they use, it's ZK snarks or starks for sufficient proof. Sufficient proof? I don't even know what they're trying to say there, Lance. You know what that is?
I'm sorry, George. I was looking at something.
That's all right. Client side proving keeps it fast. like seconds on a phone. Then you have what? Real world applications in crypto and DeFi. So you have private transactions. You got Zcash, Monero, which hide amounts, senders, right? And this Aztecs L2 enables private Ethereum trades. And this is actually going to be growing in 2026 this year. You'll see.
Yeah, succinct proofs are basically simple proofs that happen extremely fast. So once you create that algorithm, George, what they're hoping for is that you've already submitted an ID. And just by providing that number, you're going to have a fast transaction. Then none of this is going to slow things down. So some of it you preemptively verified. And the idea that you don't want to make all that information public on the chain.
Yep. We shall see, though, right?
Yeah.
But
there's always that.
Yeah. Yeah, what? We're talking about now. So we went from private transactions, Zcash, Monero, where they're hiding amounts and senders. But then you have compliant identity. This sounds complicated. I know it can be. It's a lot to take in. This is why this show is recorded. You can go back to and watch it a bunch of times. But this is, you're going to prove your KYC status for lending without sharing personal data.
And you want to explain KYC to them, George, what that is? Know your client.
Yeah.
So know your client is the same thing that you have to do now when you open up a bank account. The idea is that KYC status would be held in a way that it couldn't be accessed because, of course, you don't want anybody to commit identity fraud, hack your account. So basically, that KYC status for lending without sharing personal data is done through that succinct messaging.
You want to hear something funny?
What's that?
When I was saying KYC, I don't know why. And then I stumbled. I couldn't think of it, because all of a sudden KFC was coming in my head. I'm like, I know.
Yes. It is not Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I know. I don't know why it was popping in my head, though.
But it happens. You know what I mean? Somebody the other day said KY. They said KY. I know what that. I'm like, no, dude, KYC, bro.
I'm not talking about KY jelly there.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. All right, but key generation. So you've got the prover on one side, the verifier on the other. And the idea is that prover can send over that code and the key is generated without him sending over his ID, his social security number, his birth certificate, because we're going to have that for KYC. It's going to be important as these transactions to authenticate, because you've seen some skimming practices done by hackers where certain data has been skimmed or certain data was made public. And then, of course, somebody becomes vulnerable. So this is a big deal because, of course, you're going to want that compliant ID. You really want private voting, right? Because we know that DAO governance is coming into the voting systems. And you really want those votes to stay secret. You really don't want it attached to your wallet because in some cases, people through transactions have been able to identify wallets. You know, people have identified, say, Master, which is Michael Saylor's company, and they've been able to see that a bunch of Bitcoin got bought, and they're like, oh, that's the Master wallet over there, because they announced they bought certain things. So, you know, there's a lot of very bright people out in the crypto world. So private voting is going to be important. And another 2026 example, I think, is Aztec. If you haven't heard of them, Aztec's got a programmable privacy for like hybrid public-private DeFis. So you'd be able to hide, position sizes potentially using that. And I think that's a big deal when you think about it, because, if people can move on your activity, if they move very quickly, it may in fact impact your ability to perform on making a trade. So, when you start talking about fully homomorphic encryption, right, which is FHE, that's going to be all it's going to be. That's all the computing on encrypted data. So you send a locked box. So this is for the newbies. Okay. Let's say, so you have this locked box of ingredients to a chef. You're going to send him a box of ingredients. It's going to have everything in it is to make this meal. What they would do is they would cook inside the box without unlocking it. And what they return to you is a locked meal. Now, that's really simplistic when I say that. But step by step, you're talking about encrypted data, right?
You know what, Lance? You know what you just said? It's almost like saying you're taking a box meal, put it in the microwave where it cooks it. You don't even open it up yet, it just cooks it, and you bring it out, then you open it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of services. You've seen them now, George. A lot of these places are selling all the ingredients to make a meal with the instructions. For people that are really busy, they don't have to buy their own groceries. In this case, nobody's going to know what your meal is going to be. You've sent it over to the receiver, right? You're the prover. It's authenticated, and now they're ready to provide it. So in case of encrypted data, it could be like your loan balance. A smart contract is going to perform on a cipher text, which is where they add the interest. So that cipher text is encrypted. Nobody knows how much interest you're paying because they don't know the terms of your loan. That way, and I think a lot of times, a lot of the banks want this because they don't want other people to know that George Ballantine got a 4% loan and everybody else is getting 6.5% with the same credit score. So I think some of this benefits the banking institutions, of course, but the idea is that all those results are going to stay encrypted until you decrypt it on your end. So, there's going to be a lot of stuff here and all the real world stuff on this, on like confidential stable coins. Zama's Marinette, demoed a private USDT transfers a couple of weeks ago. And that hides the balances and the amounts while it's still compliant, because the KYC data is embedded in what they're sending over, right, in the contract terms. So private payrolls, companies can pay salaries on chain, delivered directly to your wallet without revealing individual amounts, which I think is important. A lot of people don't want their income put out there, and I think some great examples would be Zama and Shibarium. And Shibarium is Shibarium, I believe. And that's all for native private transactions. So that's all about real world assets, which are confidential real world assets, and how they're turned into tokenized assets and not releasing it. So if you look here, you kind of see how this works. This is a fully homomorphic encryption in practice. So you can kind of see how it works. So you get the data is encoded to plain text, and the data is encrypted. That's kind of that box I told you about. See the box? That's your ingredients sitting inside that box. Now you send it over to the data, processor, right? And that's where everything happens, where it can be manipulated. And then it comes back in the box to you, right? So it never comes fully out of the box, so nobody knows what's in the box. Now the box comes to you, and then your numbers are decoded from plain text, and of course back to you, where you can actually get the resultant data and act upon it in one way or another. So these are all examples of the way we did this, and I think this is important. And I know it's a little confusing. You may have to go slow, and sometimes it helps, have a browser open next to you. And if you, like I say, MPC, and you don't know that's a multi-party computation, you can go look it up, and you can say, what is a multi-party computation? And the idea is that allows collaboration without sharing any secrets. So you can get it done. So a newbie analogy, again, you get three friends, calculate average salary, right? Each splits number into shares, right? And they combine without anybody seeing full amounts. So you're able to split that private input into encrypted shares. The parties, the nodes, of course, compute jointly on those shares. And then they reconstruct the result, only what should be revealed to each individual party. So this, that's obviously something that could be done that has to do with a business model, sharing of profits, payroll being hidden, that sort of thing, where people don't necessarily have to know what each person is receiving. And these are all real world. So you've got private trading, which they call dark pools, and that'll going to allow institutions to trade large volumes without leaking intent. So, that's important for somebody like Warren Buffett, as an example. He doesn't want anybody to know immediately that he's accumulating shares of Coca-Cola. So he wants dark pool buying. So the institutions are pushing for this because, they control a lot of the markets. A lot of them are market makers. You're going to have secure wallets, custody. You're going to split keys across parties. No single point of failure, which is a great security thing. If you have a shared wallet with a family member, the idea would be this would allow real security, that if something happened, like we've talked about kidnappings on the show, it would split those keys across multiple parties. And so there's no single point of failure and no single point of access. A lot of security that has to do with that. Then you have joint AI trading, of course, train models on private data without exposure. So that's a big deal. And of course, all this stuff really matters because you're talking about the idea behind threshold signatures, right? Which are MPCs, right? So you're going to go back to that multi-party computation, because when you have these threshold signatures, that's what we talked about, where one group holds the same wallet, but you need three people to complete the transaction. Very secure in that manner. So, and I think we're going to see this, what we're talking about, plus we're going to see a lot of hybrids. The future trend, in my opinion, and across all of the blockchain world, are the hybrid stuff. So you'll take the strength of like a ZK verifying, the FHE computes, the MPC collaborates and secures. And then, so Zama is one example of using MPC for key management. You're going to have real world like private AMM, right? Hidden liquidity pools, encrypted voting, institutional DeFi, DeFi networks. Of course, the cost for computing is dropping very fast, which is allowing, because we're getting a lot in hardware acceleration, right? So it's going to allow really selective disclosure for the regs. because as the computing power gets increased, we've talked about the effect of quantum computing on AI. It's a big deal. So I think George is right. 2026 is going to be big. I think the ZKs, the FHEs, and the MPCs are going to transform crypto from a fully exposed ledger to a secure vault. I think that's going to enable a bunch of private, decentralized finance deals to come onto the table. Payroll is going to go on chain. All trading will be on chain. And I think it's still going to be very verifiable and still very compliant. And it's for the newbies out there. You're going to start with a private wallet like Aztecs, right? That's a very secure wallet. We always tell you start very small. And I think for experts, you're going to build on Zama's EVM or Archium's MXE. So I think privacy is going to be empowerment, and I think it's going to be important. If you ignore it, expect to get exposed. If you embrace it and unlock crypto's true potential, then I think the sky's the limit. So think about private transactions, privacy coins, and all these other networks. Study, learn, come to the Crypto Power Hour on the Big Mig Media Network, and learn from the ground up. All right, we're going to take a short break. That's what music is. Lance from the Ocho, George Valentine will be right back with the Crypto Power Hour. In crypto, we trust, brother.
Don't go nowhere.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.
All right, welcome back to the Crypto Power Hour, powered by Solum Global. Here with your host, my brother from another mother, Lance Migliaccio. Yours truly, George Balancing. We got the Crypto Mafia in the chat and the Crypto Army in the chat and watching. Listen, if you're out there watching or listening and you have a chance, come to the chat, say hello, get to know everybody, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, the like button, the share button. Share this live on your social media while we're live. Help educate people with crypto, help us grow, and hit that subscribe button if you can. It's $5 a month subscription. It helps out with overhead, equipment, you name it. There's so much stuff going on that makes the show go round and round. A lot of equipment, a lot of things, softwares, you name it. Every little bit helps, but most importantly, we want your support. So keep it coming and tell your friends to come on by. So let me give a shout out to our sponsor, Lance and I, we always tell you, we got the perfect solution for the people that can't watch their crypto 24/7. And this is why I'm here to tell you about BlockTrustIRA.com. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to everyday people. Their exclusive Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market and data and executing advanced crypto strategies that go far beyond buy and hold. This sophisticated technology, once reserved only for Wall Street insiders, now it's available to you. And listen, I'm telling you, it's no surprise. This system was named #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine out of more than 1,500 global competitors. So whether you're a teacher, you can be a truck driver, small business owner, retiree, a government employee, whatever. Watching your inflation eat away your savings, BlockTrust IRA's advanced Animus AI gives you everyday Americans the same advantages as a financial elite. And clients are already seeing over 250% returns on their investments, all with military-grade security and up to $200 million insurance. Your wealth is fully protected. So don't wait. Visit BigMakeCrypto.com today and see how you can join this financial revolution that's finally giving everyday Americans access to the crypto opportunity of a lifetime. Once again, visit BigMakeCrypto.com today and you can get up to $2,500 of free crypto. I got the QR code right next to me. You take a screenshot, save it to your photo files. Don't do it now. Go there later because we got stories to tell you guys. I don't know if you all seen recent. Well, I'm pretty sure you have. Hopefully you have. What just happened in Venezuela? You're like,
Yeah,
what?
if you're not living under a rock,
Right.
I sure hope you have.
And you're like, wait a minute. Why are we talking about Venezuela on a crypto show? Well, there's a little more than that, my friends. Little more than that. Maduro, he was captured along with his wife. And I think they got his son too. I'm not sure. This was on January 3rd. This is what the operation, I forget what they called it. Absolute Resolve, right? They went in, US went in, boom. There was no pushback from anybody. But there's big oil reserves there. There's big gold reserves. Oh, bring me the gold. What? You got liquid gold there and real gold there. You got a lot of stuff. But Trump said, for right now, the U.S. is going to be running Venezuela. And that, when they say that, that's through policies and stuff. They're not going to be inside the country. They're going to make sure, it doesn't fall back into nefarious hands. Because we don't need that to happen. So, but what you think about Venezuela, right? And you think about all the illegal activities they did. You're saying, wait a minute. How are they wiring money in this and that? That is the $1 million question. They weren't, because they were trading mostly Bitcoin. And they got shadow Bitcoin reserves, which is, they did this to evade U.S. pressure.
And they're saying it's one of the biggest secret Bitcoin hoards on the planet.
Well,
that's what the rumor is right now.
I think Satoshi's got the biggest hoard.
No, I said one of the biggest.
I know. I know. Lance.
Yeah, one of the biggest. And I think this, America's probably going to of course, control and unlock Venezuela's assets. I think a lot of them are going to be put on chain.
Question:
There's already discussions I heard about tokenizing the oil fields and infrastructure because they want to bypass decades of mismanagement and, of course, all the sanctions. So it looks like it's going to be a blockchain reboot of the economy. And I'm hearing this from the administration. So the question is, what happens to the Bitcoin hoard? Now that I don't know.
Well, if you remember, with any kind of drug trafficking or anything, when the U.S. makes arrests, they seize that any money for, they seize it all, Bitcoin and everything is, and any seized Bitcoin is supposed to go into the Bitcoin reserve for the United States. Question is, will they be able to get to it, Lance?
And already we've heard, you guys
so?
probably heard last night, there started some kind of coup attempt against the temporary.
That was Monday.
president.
Monday night.
Oh, Monday night. Yeah, Monday night it started, of course. So you got to keep an eye on that. I think there's a lot of international backlash. Everybody's whining. Of course, these are narco terrorists. I don't care. What Trump's really talking about is just overseeing Venezuela's governance, trying to get a peaceful transition, right? He wants to rebuild the oil sector. Some people are like, oh, the U.S. is going to benefit. Maybe they will. But I'll tell you who's not going to benefit, Cuba and China. Now, China's talking about filing lawsuits, which aren't going to go anywhere because of the narco terrorism.
I know.
But this is a massive shadow Bitcoin holding. Okay, now these are all allegations. These are rumors right now. But the official data lists Venezuela with only 240 Bitcoin. That's 22 million. Now, I don't know how many of these are held by Venezuelan-controlled wallets, or is it all Maduro and his family controlling the wallets? I would bet it's the second. But the post-capture rules are, at least the rumors say there's a shadow reserve of 600, you heard me right, 600,000 to 660,000 Bitcoin. And that was amassed since 2018. Some of it was over gold, right? Because you know how they seized all those mining operations and assets. Some of those were USDT to Bitcoin. Some of those were payments for, embargoed oil deliveries like China, like, of course, Cuba. So that Bitcoin conversions for oil sales, of course, that seems obvious, right? So they're saying that right now at the current pricing, and they don't have a complete hand on how much is there, $56 to $67 billion at current prices. Now, if that gets seized by the U.S. because it's a criminal asset, that's basically 3% of Bitcoin supply that gets removed from circulation. I believe there'll be legal battles. Of course, there'll be a bunch of global markets. I think it could trigger a bull run on Bitcoin.
Well, legal
you heard
battle.
me say that?
Legal battle. Good luck with that.
Yeah. And it would, of course, go into the U.S. strategic reserve unless somebody's not telling us what's really going to happen. But I think that, all of a sudden, Petro flopped the USDT lifeline. Venezuelan's crypto survival strategy, Maduro's 2018 Petro token backed by oil to dodge sanctions failed. You guys remember that? They discontinued it in 24. But all of a sudden, Venezuela pivoted to USDT for oil payments, settling 80% of all their crude oil sales in stable coins. Now, I don't know where all those stable coins are. I don't know if they all got converted to Bitcoin. We don't know any of that. But of course, there's 119 million in July alone of 2025. Now, I think all that infrastructure, all this crypto infrastructure could be shut down or repurposed. But I think there's a bunch of, interesting wallets that might be split across insiders. We don't know who's got access. Is that why there's the military coup started? Do they know about the Bitcoin? Are they going to be complicating the recovery? But if they've identified the wallets, it could be pretty tricky. Now, I think the potential for tokenizing Venezuela's $17 trillion oil empire, I think it's going to happen. I think this is going to end up being an incubator for what's going to happen to global assets. And imagine the transactions, George, over $17 trillion of oil being tokenized. Imagine when that goes on chain, what's going to happen. These are real world assets that are being putting on the blockchain for global trading 24/7. This is big stuff.
It's funny because the more we talk about this and get in depth with this, we're not hearing, and when they went and got Maduro, we're not hearing any seizure of any electronic equipment, computers or anything.
Not a word.
Because I don't think Maduro would have 600, let's say 600,000 Bitcoin in one wallet. It's going to be spread around. And who's got access to those wallets? Or who's holding
point. It? I mean, we don't know how secure it was. We don't know if he's got, two-party authentication. We don't know what his KYC material is. I mean, look, Maybe the U.S. does. Maybe the U.S. identified this, and maybe they had this plan all along. But I think when you start talking about it, Maduro's facing justice. He had his arraignment. I think Venezuela is standing at the brink of a blockchain renaissance between their rare earth minerals, their mining, their gold, silver. We heard there was a big silver hoard that got seized also, or is going to be seized. So I don't know if that's true, not yet either. I guess we'll have to see.
I'm
but
sure
of course,
he's probably got gold hoard too over there. But you know what? Like a lot of this, like with the oil, they start bringing the oil on the blockchain and oil futures and stuff. I mean, it could work great for the people of Venezuela if done right. But
I agree.
A lot of people are not talking about the oil that comes out of Venezuela. There's only so many refineries that can handle that type of oil, and few of them. Some are in Louisiana, others in Texas. And I don't know where else, somewhere else in
it's interesting
other countries.
that Trump just doubled down on saying he was going to work on the refineries, that he was going to work on our oil processing abilities. Maybe that's because he knew the value of Venezuela. And think about what we're talking about. Seizing a giant shadow Bitcoin reserve could really supercharge crypto, right? Because of scarcity. And of course, tokenizing oil assets, you're talking about unlocking potentially $17 trillion in value. Now you're taking blended geopolitics, right? You're getting rid of the narco-terrorism, and you're really going with decentralized innovation. So the big stuff will be any legal quagmires. Is China going to file some kind of a case on the International Court of Law? I don't know. What are these liberal judges that have been assigned to the case for Maduro? What are they going to do? Frozen holdings, international condemnation, the risk of prolonged instability for Venezuela, which we're already seeing instability right now. So I don't know. This is one of those things we're gonna have to keep an eye on. But 660,000 Bitcoin potentially to be seized. That's a big number, George.
It's funny you brought up the liberal judges, but on Monday when he got arraigned, Maduro went in there and with an attitude was like, I'm the president of Venezuela. He was trying to talk and kept talking, and finally, the judge got up, put him in his place, and you're a defendant here in America. You're not the president. Like, he put him in his place. You have to give him a really good check. But it's funny because Maduro was pretty much. They said he was in shock at how people have right to get an attorney given to them. Yet he has a right to not talk. And he was kind of shocked at a bunch of these rights because, he was a dictator. You didn't want to talk. They're going to whoop your ass over there in Venezuela. You'd probably get killed.
It's interesting. Of course, he probably was trying to take the idea that the U.S. doesn't have jurisdiction of him because he's a foreign leader. Of course, that's not true when you've been indicted for narco-terrorism or other
but
acts.
You know what, though? I was thinking about that, and I was going to bring it up to you, too. So you look at it. What can stop any federal prosecutor or whatever high up there, DOJ, from going to get an indictment? Because you fully know you can indict a ham sandwich, right?
Yep.
So what's the point of why do you need in some country? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. My God. When you're in a country and extradition, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the point of extradition then? If you could just go in there and get them, snatch them up and bring them out.
Well, extradition goes both ways, right? You have non-extradition countries that don't agree to participate in any legal authority, right? You've got certain countries that do that, like, for example, Gibraltar and others.
Okay,
right?
But what if the country that doesn't have extradition or don't believe in it, so what? The United States can't get their person, they just happily sit there? Or can the United States just go in there and get them?
That has happened because the United States doesn't actually take the role that it did in this situation. International law would argue that Trump shouldn't have done what he did, but at the end of the day, the conviction. Here's the tricky part to me. Maduro wasn't, and I've always told you I don't like grand juries. I think grand juries are BS because they're sealed grand juries. So Bill Barr presented to a sealed grand jury in 2019 and 2020. Of course, Maduro wasn't there to defend himself, just like every other defendant, and they were able to secure an indictment. Well, why were they able to secure an indictment? Because the only people that presented evidence was the U.S. government. Now, that being said, there's lots of evidence to support the Cartel de la Sol, right? The de la Solis, the Cartel of the Sun, which is his cartel. There's a lot of proof and evidence that proves that, in fact, They were this giant narco terrorist. But you're right, George. This is one of those slippery slopes. But I think at this point, Donald Trump is going to take control of the Western Hemisphere. He's had it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cuba, Colombia, and even Mexico face some major issues in the very near-term future. And I think as far as this Bitcoin stash that was probably created 99% from criminal activity, not that the oil was criminal, but who they were selling the oil to was criminal.
No, they weren't supposed to be selling any oil because there were sanctions. But we have a clip. I have a clip here I want to play.
Yeah, let's play it.
All right, here we go.
So there is a second order crypto effect here where since for going back a decade now, my reporting was back in 2017, because of spiraling inflation of the Bolivar, a lot of people had turned to cryptocurrencies, mining Ethereum and Bitcoin in their homes in order to just have a stable source of cash. But the other side of this is the fact that there are multiple reports that the government itself has been looking to evade sanctions by doing sales of oil in Tether, which they then move into Bitcoin. And so much of this market moves on sentiment. So even the promise that perhaps the U.S. government, when they came in, might seize these assets, hold on to it, that's a bull case for Bitcoin if you have a stockpile such as that that isn't being liquidated.
All right, very interesting stuff. Very quickly, because we got to go. Is it a tailwind for just Bitcoin or also Ethereum, Solana, and some of these other coins?
It's a rising tide lifts all ships. In fact, XRP has had outsized performance. And when you see one altcoin do particularly well, it really is one of these signs of a risk-on environment. All
right, Mackenzie Sagalos, great to see you as always. Thank you very much. All right, before we let you go, one more look at the futures right
now. You know, it's funny because just so happens like Bitcoin was, it was go up a little bit, going down in 80s, this and that. Now it's like shot up to over 95. I think it's going to start climbing again. It's going to hit big numbers soon. Break record soon.
This is an interesting thing. And when we get down to the truth of it, I think it's really going to have an impact. So the question is, how much is the U.S. going to acknowledge? All right, so let's talk about the infrastructure for the $2 trillion stablecoin economy. And if $17 trillion of the oil come on board, it's a lot bigger than that. But of course, you're looking at stable coins. We've talked about them in the show. They're no longer really fringes of the crypto finance. You have to focus on what our modern financial system is and how the stable coin is going to be very important moving out of the SWIFT system. And this will be the next phase of real finance. But I think as blockchain adoption is increasing, you guys know that. And of course, the crypto industry is maturing rapidly. Guess what? Here comes the government. So have the opinions of policymakers. Of course, they're drafting. They're taking it into their own congressional areas, and they want transparent frameworks for stablecoin usage. They want know your client to be clear. They want legislation. Now, in some ways, it's great. It's a lot better than Gary Gensler. I like to call him Gary the Weasel Gensler on this show. But you're going to see a surge in, of course, stablecoin usage. So people want to know that it's safe. So when you enter traditional finance, you want regulatory clarity. And that's what we're talking about. So the regulations right now, you've already seen industry leaders coming on board. You've seen lots of people changing their tune on crypto. You saw JP Morgan Chase and many others are now of a completely different statements publicly. But I think right now what you got to start thinking about is the companies that are building products, they're going to building them alongside the regulation rather than being reactive. And of course, what it was before, because you didn't really know if there was any regulation. And then you would try to adapt what you thought maybe the regulations were. And that's how Ripple got in trouble, right? Not because they did anything, but because Gary Gensler didn't like crypto. He didn't like Ripple's, growth and what they were doing. So he came up and he tried to use stock loss. Well, that doesn't apply. So I think what's important is the good news for everybody in the audience is, look, it's getting clear, right? The path for stable coins is getting clear. And I think they're becoming that invisible infrastructure of our new global economy. And these are the kind of macro trends I think that are really important for beginners and experts. When you start talking about powering a modern financial system, you have to realize that stable coins are going to become that invisible infrastructure. And look, the total stablecoin market capitalization reached roughly $300 billion in 2025. And they're saying that it's forecasted to hit $2 trillion as adoption accelerates. Now, is that going to happen in 26, 27, 2030? I don't know. I think it's going to happen much faster than anybody else thinks, George.
It can, if the government keeps going on with their crypto framework. I mean, let's face it here, like the United States, they got the Genius Act, right? They got that one down. And that was the your first comprehensive U.S. federal framework for stablecoins. Now, what's good about this, it requires stablecoins to be backed by high quality liquid assets.
Yeah, you're not going to see any. You're not going to see Are you going to see the Kanye West coin in there, George?
No, you're not going to see no.
What about the Trump coin? Is the Trump coin going to be in there?
Definitely not. Unless he makes
the
a government
Melania coin?
Unless he makes a government Trump stable coin. I don't know. Possible.
Yeah. Oh no!
But
don't tell me he's going to name a stable coin. Don't even think like that, George. And you know you're right. He could end up naming. Listen, he changed the name of the Kennedy Center, right?
he added his name to it.
He's got the Trump Ballroom. Who's to say he's not going to have a Trump USDT stable coin? The Trump coin, the Trump DT.
Yeah, I don't know why he had to have his name to the Kennedy Center. She just left it to Kennedy Center.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
agree
that's
with
where
you,
his ego plays into effect. And it's certain
I'm not agreeing with that. I agree with you.
And it's just too much. I was like,
I mean, he wants a Trump phone. He's got a Trump coin. He had the Trump sneakers. I'm over it, bro. Stop using the Trump name for all this crap.
leave it for when Barron becomes president.
Yeah, how about Barron? Let Barron have some of the love, man, down the road. They can have the Barron stable coin. I'm okay with that. Barron needs some love. He's a giant anyway. He's a giant. We definitely want to give him some room. What does that do? Like 6'8"?
Oh, he's tall, man.
It's funny because Trump's not small. Trump's like 6'2", isn't he? I think Trump's 6'2". His kid's like towering over him. Like, look,
he's 6'2" or
I'm pretty sure Donald Trump is he 6'4"?
I don't know.
Then Barron's got to be like 7 foot, brother.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
All right. Well, the EU,
he's
Japan,
6'3".
Singapore. Trump is 6'3".
Yeah.
So what's Barron? Barron's got to be like 6'9", man.
He's up 6'9", yeah. Because
Dude
don't
is
forget, his mom is tall too.
He's lucky he's got a custom clothing wardrobe. He's lucky he's got that kind of cheddar. Because you're not buying shit off the rack when you're 6'9". You're either playing basketball or you better be rich out of the gate. All right, but look, here's the good news. This regulatory approach, it's happened in the United States. In the EU, you've got the market in crypto assets regulation, right? They call it MiCA. And of course, that's the same thing as the Genius Act in its own way. Then you've got Japan. They're coming up with the Payment Services Act. We've heard a lot of good stuff coming out of Japan. They're also the first to regulate stable coins. So they're calling them digital money under their Payment Services Act. So only licensed banks, trust companies, registered agents may issue them. And you have to have the full backing and the supervision of the FSA supervision, which is the Japanese financial institutions. Singapore, which I've told you before, Singapore is a hub of crypto regulation and global market movement. So they've got what they call the MAS SCS framework, which of course mandates that banks have to have 100% reserve backing. They have to agree to monthly audits and redemption at par for stablecoins pegged to the SGD or G10 currencies, which of course, I've told you this before, Singapore is a international global leader in compliant digital finance. They're going to be one of the monsters. You've got Dubai, you've got the US, and you've got Singapore. Of course, Hong Kong wants a piece of it. They've got the stablecoin ordinance, which requires HKMA approval, capital and reserve adequacy, and disclosure standards equivalent to licensing financial institutions. So in my opinion, when you start looking at the global network charge, you've got Hong Kong, Singapore, the United States, and Dubai. I think that's the battle royale between those four because, Hong Kong's always been a real financial hub. And of course, China wants to continue to maintain that power. Singapore, incredible financial, network there. But again, I think these guys are all going to be setting the tone for what's really going to happen to the SWIFT international framework. So this is big stuff. And I think you have to realize that we're in a convergence moment, right? Major shift. Everything's changing. And why are you here at the Crypto Power Hour? Well, you know why. Because we're going to try to take you from the ground up, make sure you don't miss out on generational wealth. Hey, listen, Strategy's buying more Bitcoin. He's pretty good at predicting the market. You always want to come here. Wednesdays at 7 a.m., Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard. You can also find us. Follow our, of course, our main sponsor, Solum Global, solum.global. Big things going on at that company. Find them on social media. The Crypto Power Hour, you can find us on X. You can find us on True Social. You can find Solum Global on Gab. Let's get all those followed. And don't forget, are we back on YouTube, George? We're back on YouTube, aren't we? No, not yet?
Not the Crypto Power Hour, no.
Oh, I thought we were. So we're going to be getting back up on YouTube. They've agreed to let us come back on. So Sky's the limit now. Of course, our home base is Rumble. Hit that follow button. Take the short form, take the long form, spread it far and wide. Spread the love, baby. George, last words.
Y'all have a good day. We'll see you at 11 for the Big Mig show if you're around. If not, we'll catch you Friday at 7 a.m. Have an awesome day. Stay blessed. It's hump day or hump week for singles, folks. Peace.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.